What it is, what it ain't. It's your boy Young Button, but you could call me Young Button. We're back with another episode of the AM Cast. It's supposed to be football fun and football faith and fun every single Wednesday. But at this point, it's whatever day I could get it over to you, because I guarantee you this one's not going up on a Wednesday. But anyways, it's been a while. It's been actually a couple of weeks. I'm gonna tell you some week 4/week 5. I don't even know what week we in. Actually, it's pretty crazy to think that we're already like 1/3 of the way through the regular season. It's kind of wild how it's flying by. But lots of interesting stuff on this episode of the AM Cast. Headlining Eagles on Fraud Watch and how I saw it coming. Secondly, pre-engagement and a lesson on expectations. And lastly, we go into the ooh. We go into the ooh. So all of this and more on the AM Cast. So first and foremost, we're gonna hit starting off with the football. We're not gonna go to the Eagles first though, because a game that I've been meaning to talk about for a couple of weeks now is that incredible all-time classic Seahawks versus Bucks game. Is that the 2017 showdown? The 2017 draft class QB showdown. Number one pick Baker Mayfield, number three pick Sam Darnold. Now on two completely different teams, but it was a sight to behold. I mean, like truly an all-time classic. Now, I had to miss this game because I was doing pre-engagement counseling homework with my girl. Like I was watching a good bit of it, and then we had to go to pre-engagement, or we had to do the homework. So, priorities. But I watched most of it, and then I watched the highlights. And I have opinions. Also have opinions on the pre-engagement counseling homework, but more on that later. The Bucks somehow do it again. Emeka Ibuga. I don't know. I'm not his dad or his mom. I don't know how you're supposed to say his name. He is legit. And, it's kind of reminiscent of the Justin Jefferson breakout year, the Jamar Chase breakout year. Like, type of guys, like, very early in their careers, you're like, oh, he's going to be him. Like, he's really going to be that guy. He's going to be one of those number one alpha wide receivers that could just put an offense on his back, because he's done it. I mean, with a hobbled Chris Godwin, a missing Mike Evans, literally. Like, he's not like MIA, like he's playing bad. He's not playing because he's hurt. So, it's been a lot more, and the Bucks have been such a pass heavy attack. You would think they would suffer as a result. But Emeka Ibuga, when you need a play, even sometimes when you don't need a play, here he is making a play. And it's just getting to a point where, like, I'm not talking offensive rookie of the year. He's in the territory right now as we speak, and as the season continues to go, if he's at this pace, he's in offensive player of the year territory as a rookie. And that's crazy to think about. So yeah, you just can't ignore him when he plays. In the same way that when Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase came into the league, you just couldn't ignore them. They were like statement makers. So, shout out to the Bucks for finding an absolute gem. And up to now, they seem like the clutchest team in the league. Like, the Bucks have lost one game to my memory to the Eagles, where unfortunately there was that pick situation, and I kind of, talked about how I didn't have an issue with Baker Mayfield's process, like how he got to throw the pick. I didn't have an issue with it. Now people were like, "Well, you can't make that decision, whatever, whatever." Yeah, okay, buddy. If Patrick Mahomes did it and he would have pulled it off, you would have been like, "Yeah." And that's the great thing about Patrick Mahomes, just all over it, bro. But Baker Mayfield doing it doesn't work out. You don't throw that pass. I mean, I guess the results, in a sense, you could say speak for themselves, but I didn't have an issue with it. That being said, in every other instance, it's been a close game, and they've just found ways to win. Last week, they died. Well, 2 weeks ago at this point, they died by the pick. They died via that interception. Wow, I'm forgetting how to speak English. My accent's coming out. Um, because of a ill-advised throw, they lost the game in a very pivotal moment. But somehow this week they lived by the pick. Like they caught a pick in a very pivotal moment because as you would have it, they were going back and forth, the Seahawks and the Bucks, that is, and it was like quite the quarterback showdown. And you're like, is this another OT type of thing? Is this possibly even another tie like the Packers and the Cowboys? But like at some point, I guess someone had to flinch. And I'm going to get on the Seahawks side of the thing later. But I would say something before I even talk about the interception and the Seahawks and everything about them. I will say something does need to be said about the fact that the Bucks are always somehow in a game. You know what I mean? Like, if you're blowing teams out, that's one thing. If you're an underdog and you're overcoming teams and, scraping by the skin of your teeth, that's one thing. If you're losing games, that's one thing. But it's like, it's great that you're winning like 99% of your, 1 out of 5 is not 99, but you get what I'm saying. 90% of the time you're winning in those situations. But also, why do you keep finding yourself in these situations? And I just don't think that it's something, I'm not even going to say sustainable, just I don't think it's something that's wise. It's very reminiscent of a couple of years ago when the Vikings had Kirk Cousins, and they were great. Don't get me wrong. You got the quarterback, you got a star receiver, you got a supporting cast, running game, the defense, and somehow like they just made the plays when the plays needed to be made. But you just know you can't keep getting away with this. And they got to the playoffs and they didn't keep getting away with it. And it's just one of those things. I want to believe in the Bucks. I want to believe they're not pretenders. And I honestly, in my heart of hearts, kind of don't. Like, as in, I don't believe they're pretenders. I believe they're for real. But, at some point, you just got to start putting away teams earlier in the game. Because it's just, as we could see in the past 2 weeks, the week before, it bit the Bucks in the butt. But, oh, what an alliteration. I bet you like that. But the week after, it bit the Seahawks in the butt. And it's like, you can't keep getting away with it, is what I'm saying. Like, at some point, you're going to falter, and maybe it's not even your fault, right? Or maybe it's a team you shouldn't even lose to, but you let them hang around, you messed around, and you found out. So, I just feel like they're great, and they've been very clutch, but please, try to do that the least amount of times possible going forward. Excuse me, I mean to clear my throat like that. Pause? I don't know. Anyways, the Seahawks side of the thing, of this matchup, of this ordeal, of whatever you want to call it, is such a gut wrencher. And even though, on one hand, I could be like, yeah, this kind of checks out. On the other hand, I could kind of see why it's still a heartbreaker. Or maybe this is flipped, right? Because the thing is, Sam Darnold, by all accounts, is him. He's playing phenomenal, as he played phenomenal the year before for the, I forget their name. What is that team's name? The Vikings. He plays for the Seahawks now. He's playing phenomenal. He's having himself a game. By all accounts, he's got a flamethrower attached to his right shoulder. Tight window throws, just real gunslinger, like putting the ball where it needs to be, making every throw on the field, and just making the offense go. I mean, you want to talk about the Cowboys and the Packers? This was another week of like Big 12 offense type of gameplay. I think 1/3 of NFL teams are just playing like they're in a Big 12 weekly. Like you could find a game like that every week, like of 1/3 of the teams. Where, I mean, I guess when you say a team got boat raced, that mean they got outpaced. So maybe that's not what I'm trying to say. But it's just a barn burner. There you go. That's the proper terminology. It's a barn burner. You can find at least 1 or 2 of those per week. And this was one of them. And in this one, Sam Darnold's balling. Jackson Smith and Jigba is proving, at least to me, right, that he's a legit number one wide receiver. Because I didn't believe he could, to be honest with you. I thought he was a great number two. I wasn't sure about him being a one, but so far he's done really good. And the Seahawks just kind of display that they have a real shot at outright winning their division if they keep playing this good. Unfortunately, Sam Darnold reverts back not even to his Panthers form, not even to his Jets form, but all the way back to his USC days. Because if you haven't been following him his entire career, I will let you know that I am a USC fan. I, at least at the time, kept up with a lot of college football, and my three teams were USC, Alabama, Michigan State. Don't ask me why any of those were what they were. Maybe I'll answer them at some point, but today is not that day. And I truly remember what it was like seeing Sam Darnold for the first time. Incredible passer of the football. But he's always had this uncanny ability that to this day I can't explain, to just, whether it's by interception, by fumble, he will choose. If he has one singular turnover all game, he has the special ability to turn the ball over at the worst possible time in the entire game. And this is something that's happened again and again and again, from USC to when he was playing with the Jets. In Carolina, he just looked bad the whole time. In the Vikings, I feel like he got back to playing up to the standard that I expect from him, which is like a great quarterback, top 15 type of level. But turnovers or like just not showing up at certain portions of the game were still kind of an issue. And what happened last week or 2 weeks ago with the Bucks is just kind of, I don't know if antithesis is the word I'm looking for. I think the opposite of antithesis. That's the thesis in the sense of who Sam Darnold is as a player. Great quarterback. You could even say amazing quarterback. Potential top 10 quarterback. But potential is a tricky word because at some point it's just got to happen, or else it's just, if I were 6'4", then I'd be 6'4". It's like, yeah, of course, the duh. Like it's just make believe land. You know what I mean? So he shows that he could, but in certain ways he just shows why he's not. And this is one of those ways. So just kind of unfortunate for the Seahawks that the game had to end like that. As a neutral fan, someone who's a fan of both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and I do wish for both the Seahawks and the Bucks to go far this year. Great game, entertaining game for me, and I was very well satisfied with the end result and even how it came to be. But I like games like that in the NFL. I'm hoping to have more. Now, games I don't necessarily care for is the second one we're going to look at with the Cowboys and the Jets. Honestly, what really is there to say? I'm really only even including the Jets because that's my team, and so I have this strange obligation to talk about them weekly or however consistently this podcast comes out. I need to talk about them. I don't have to say anything good. I don't know if they give me anything good to say, but in some sense, I'd be remiss if I said nothing. So, what I will say about the game, which isn't much, but what I will say are the facts. The Cowboys won. It was a lot to a little, and that's about it. Now, instead, let me interest you in a thought exercise. Think of all the media headlines from last year. Robert Saleh being a problem, Aaron Rodgers being finished, even Sauce Gardner being the best corner in the NFL. Like, think. I'm going to give you a few seconds just for you to think. You're done? Okay, great. Now, think about how each thread has unfolded to what we have now. Do these media stories even remotely check out to you, knowing what you know now? I'm gonna give you a few seconds. I'm gonna let you rock out. Okay, this is why we watch the games. This is why we watch the games. Salah being a problem, I think a third grader could have told you that. I really do think a small child who's just reached the age of reasoning could let you know. I don't think it's his fault because see, the issue was not the defense. Don't get me wrong. At some point, you just can't perform to the level that you are because the offense won't keep you off the field. But the team being bad, especially the offense being bad, was strictly an offensive coordinator with the hack man himself, Nathaniel Hackett, and Aaron Rodgers choosing to call his own plays, with both of them being a problem. And to transition that to Aaron Rodgers, you look bad because you want to do your own thing instead of playing team football. If there's a scheme around them that schemes the run, that sets up the pass, you can look good. But instead, there was this whole thing about him calling his own plays, him not wanting to run anything scheme specific. He wanted to just work on timing with his receivers because when his receivers know his timing, you're at each other's back. I don't know, bruh. I don't know. Okay? And Sauce Gardner being the best corner in the NFL, he's got this cool handshake with Aaron Rodgers where he alludes to like holding a joint. Mind you, the guy said he's never smoked in his life, so I don't even know why the handshake is relevant. So now you look at all these things and how they played out. Robert Saleh leaves the Jets. They're worse off. I know Aaron Glenn is a first-year head coach, but sometimes, like I said last time, the Jets look like a bunch of guys who found jerseys in a parking lot and then found out, they threw them on, and after they threw them on, they found out they have a game in 3 minutes. That's literally what they look like. They don't look like they even know each other's last name. Mind you, it's on the jersey. And they're terrible. They look uncoached. They look like, I don't know what they look like. It's really bad a lot of times. Aaron Rodgers is on the Pittsburgh Steelers under a real scheme, a real coach, around real players, and they're balling. They're doing their thing. And Sauce Gardner, who, like I said last time I got on here, I've been thinking for over a year now, is he really the best corner in the league? I know everyone is like in this consensus that he is, but sometimes I just watch him play and I'm like, I don't know. Because you know what it's not giving me, and maybe it's bad to have that standard because it's like this is a Hall of Famer I'm talking about. But once you've seen Darrelle Revis play, you're kind of comparing the next quote unquote shutdown corner to him. And I'm looking at Sauce Gardner and I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. And once you know it, this year they're making highlights that like he's lining up in front of receivers every week just for the number one receiver to get a highlight off of him. It's kind of embarrassing. And yeah, I know your team brings you down, it bogs you down, but I don't know. Am I gonna support him? Yeah, he plays on my team. I have to. And I don't even think he's a bad player. But best corner in the league, I think what we've seen this year has proven that that's far from the case. It's just not like that. So that's all I have to say about that. Now, the last game, it's another New York team, but this is pleasantly surprising. And this is where we get into the Eagles being on freaking fraud alert, on fraud watch, fraudstoppers.com. You know that thing in the back? Go in your wallet right now. Look at the credit or debit card that you have. Flip it to the back. There should be some fine print on there. On the fine print, there is a phone number that says if you suspect fraud to call this number. Right now, what I need you to do, I need you to call that number and report the Philadelphia Eagles to that number. This is the most And I understand Super Bowl hangover, whatever that means, but they just look bad. They legit look, like I said last week, they go through stretches where they don't even look like they know how to play football. The offense, the defense, the special teams, the running game, the quarterback, the offensive line. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm no Giants fan. That's kind of the ops. We share a stadium with them, like the Jets and the Giants, and they've been in a sense big brother for as long as I've been a Jets fan. It's very like Los Angeles Lakers to Los Angeles Clippers, without the pedigree of the Lakers, of course. But I have to hand it to the Giants. And here I am thinking like Jackson Dart's a rookie, it's not gonna go too well for him. I have the Philadelphia Eagles defense on my fantasy team. Do you know how many points they scored me? 0.0. They I think if I could have started anyone else, any other defense, I would have got points. And I might track that. Today it's Friday right now. It's nighttime. Tomorrow's Saturday. On Sunday, I might see if there's another defense that drops 0. Because the way they earn me nothing, and it's crazy because I'm like, they're going up against a rookie. I know Jackson Dart won a game for the Giants, but he also lost the game. And in the game that he won, though I didn't watch the game, I watched the highlights. He didn't look like he did anything special. He really didn't. So I'm like, okay, I don't know how good this kid actually is. Jackson, the ice cream machine Dart, had himself a career game against what was supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league going into the year. Mind you me, it looked like the defense as a collective were the rookie and Jackson Dart was the experience unit. It was quite a sight to see. It was very much something to behold. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect. Like the touchdown that he threw to Wandale Robinson. I'm just making up players. The touchdown he tossed to Wandale Robinson, where he got free from pressure and then threw it to Wandale Robinson, and then he had to run it in. I'm not gonna say the guy's whole name. When the wide receiver ran the out route, he was free on the break, and Jackson Dart should have threw it then. But I don't know what he saw. I don't know what he felt. I don't know the reason why. He kind of tucked it and tried to escape pressure, which if you ask me, I don't know if the pressure was so there that he couldn't have made that pass before he tried to scramble. That being said, he scrambled, got out of there, looked up, Wandale Robinson. Mind you, he's sitting next to the sideline. It's still wide open. The safety's just watching him from like 30 yards away, even though it's a man defense. He tosses it to Robinson. He shakes off the safety, scores a touchdown. What do you want me to do with that? Great play to get out of there. It's a knock that he didn't throw that first time when it first got open, but he threw it still when he got out of pressure, and it ended up being a touchdown. And it just kept being, if it was one thing where that's his only highlight, okay. He had that play. He had the bomb play that he threw up to Lil Jordan Humphrey. Insane name, by the way. Lil'' Jordan. Okay. I don't even know what to say about that. Bless his heart. He's in the NFL. I'm not. So hey. And he bombed somebody, right? The number 7, Keely Ringo. I'm not gonna lie, Keely Ringo had an awful first half. I didn't see the game in its entirety, but Keely Ringo is easily responsible for like 14, if not 17, maybe even 21 points out of that 34 that the Giants scored. So they got to do something about him. I know he got chewed out. Well, today's Friday. If Keely's watching this or hearing this, sorry that you got chewed out by your coaches, but you kind of earned it. He got bombed on that one. There was another bomb that he almost gave up to Wandale Robinson, but I think that ended up being a flag, putting the Giants at the 1. Um, Jackson Dart ran in like a 20 something, maybe 30 yarder for a touchdown. It was just highlight after highlight after highlight. All this to say, Jackson Dart looked amazing until he got hurt. And after maybe one drive, he got right back. Side note, Russell Wilson went in there and he threw one pass and missed it, and Brian Dable started tweaking. I'm not gonna lie, I was dying, bro. First of all, Amazon is so green, or I guess whoever's broadcasting before it gets to Amazon for them to distribute it, they made sure the camera was on Brian Dable. And I think it warrants an investigation because I thought I was not listening to the sound when I was watching this game, but it looked like they were investigating a concussion, or they were looking for concussion symptoms. And I guess they found nothing, right? Which is cool. But Brian Daboll looks like he's telling them, like, get on with it, right? Get this guy out of the tent, to the point where maybe he got hurt and somehow Brian Daboll was so distraught by the pass that he saw from Russell Wilson that he said, nah, hell no. That nigga not staying in the game for another drive. And it was just kind of funny to see him crash out like that. I don't know what Russ did to him. I don't know. I guess that's what happens when your job's on the line. He's like, bro, this guy sucks. I'm not saying Russ sucks. I'm saying that's what I think Brian Daboll thinks. This guy sucks. He's going to cost me my job. And I finally got him off the field. Somehow he found his way back in. Nah, hell no. Get my rookie out there and get him to secure me this win. Mind you, he got back in and there were 2 straight quarterback design run plays, or at least that's what it looked like. He ran both of them. I don't know if they were both designed. So, questionable play call after he was getting checked out for concussion symptoms. But whatever. I guess it worked, right? So yeah. Giants defense were making the Eagles suffer all night, and the Eagles did that thing where they just forgot how to play football. But it wasn't just on offense where Brian Burns ate, and they threw, or Jalen Hurts threw that almost pick 6, and Saquon looked miserable. It was also by the Giants offense, who just repeatedly looked like the Giants looked like a team that just won a Super Bowl. And the Philadelphia Eagles are like a team that are just trying to get points in some moral victory out of this game. So, very interesting indeed. Interesting week of football, week and a half, I guess you could say. I try to be consistent, y'all, but it could just be hard sometimes. But I'll not make any promises. I will not make any promises because, yeah, I just won't. I just won't. You'll catch these episodes when you catch these episodes, bruh. And there's nothing you can do about. I'm sorry. Please don't click off. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the faith portion of the show, and a very interesting topic because it's not necessarily Bible central, but it's Bible themed, or at least you'll see. So, me and my girl, or should I say my girl and I don't know. I don't know what the grammatically correct way to say that is. I think it's my girl and I, but I'm not sure. My girl and I went to pre-engagement counseling for, I think that was the 3rd session or the 2nd session. I don't know. It's been a couple of different things, but one of the things that they spoke about in one of the specific classes was expectations. And it just made me think, especially after the class or after we did the homework and we talked and we discussed certain things. And it just, maybe it's me, but I doubt it's just me because I feel like this is such a human thing to do, right? We had discussions and it made me realize that we have expectations for one another. Oh, big whoop, no duh. Yeah, I know. But what made me kind of want to talk about this is just the realization that and this is through like our own thing, right? A lot of expectations that we might have, we just kind of expect that they'll be met. And a lot of times we don't stop to consider the cost. We don't stop to consider the reality. Because something that happened to me, and something I feel like happens to a lot of people, they tell us at pre-engagement that it happens to a lot of people, is, oh, I like you, you like me, we agree on 80% of the things, but there's this 20% that's to be determined. But it's okay, we'll figure it out in marriage. And what it'll figure it out really is on one side you're like, oh yeah, they'll come around to my side. On the other side, it's like, I don't know about that. I think they'll just come around to my side. But what can easily happen is you get married, you just think, oh, they'll come around to my side. Each of you think that, and then now that you're married, you have to deal with each other, and you probably have to act in accordance with one method or another. You both realize, wait, why are you not coming around to my side? And then it becomes this huge point of contention where you just, you're shocked, you're confused, you don't understand, because you're like, clearly what I'm saying makes sense. Why are you just not do what I'm telling you to do? And the other person is probably like, no, you do what I'm telling you to do. And of course, the both of you think you're right. And it's not even that you're necessarily each wrong or that one of you has to be wrong. But the thing about expectations is everyone has them. So we could both have expectations about a particular topic or a particular area, but they're on opposite sides of the spectrum. And a real thing that we have to work on, and this is all couples, but yeah, definitely us, but also all couples, is making sure we get to the same page, whatever it is. It's a compromise, meet in the middle, however it's going to be to just make it work. And so if you have someone that you would like to marry, or if you are married to someone, first of all, I just want to speak and attest to the Bible is so good. It's crazy. A lot of people talk about, oh, the Bible is boring, or the Bible just, it's a bunch of stuff telling you what you can't do, what not to do, this and that. And I can understand where they're coming from, because it's like, if that's all you've heard, that's all you know. And even if that's not true, that's what you think. Because most people that say that the Bible is boring honestly don't read the Bible. And it shows, because the amount of stuff that there is in there, of all shapes and sizes, for all walks of life, for all the type of taste that there is, like, there's something in the Bible for you. All of it is for you, to be honest. But it just it varies so much. It's such a dynamic book. But one of the things is the book of Proverbs, that talks about just wise things to do. And one of the things that me and my girl did that came from a devotional that used the book of Proverbs, it was seek wise counsel. And including wise counsel in our relationship, which was is our pastor and his wife, who kind of mentored us and have like kind of led us along in this journey. A lot of it is us, of course, but we check in with them. They kind of help us to set our aim properly. They're just helping us because they've been married. They've been married for a while, and I'm trying to get to where they're at, and they have been where I'm at. So it's just this thing where, so let me know. And from that, it became a thing of, okay, what if we're trying to take it to the next level? And it's like, go to pre-engagement counseling. And now we're at pre-engagement counseling, and we're learning this lesson of expectations. And it's just this thing that snowballs that to make not just your relationship better, right? But your life better, your marriage better, your family / parenting life better. Because one, the word of God teaches you a lot of things, but then also the word of God kind of helps you learn the things that are not explicitly in the Bible. A lot of stuff are Bible based, but like speaking of, like, the Bible doesn't talk about what are your expectations. But going to pre-engagement counseling has made us really count the cost and consider what our expectations are. And just seeing where we align, where we don't, and how we're going to work on, or what we need to do about the things where we don't. It's just been such a blessing. So if you have someone, just first, if you're not being led by God, I advise you to go to find devotionals to find God if you don't have God, right? And if you do, just to find what he says about your relationship or about your marriage and what you two are to be to one another, and dive into that together. I also advise you to go find spiritual married leaders that can help, that are trustworthy, that are Bible believing and abiding, and that have a successful, fruitful marriage that you can learn from. And then, if you're not married yet, go to pre-engagement counseling. If you are married, I guess go to marital counseling because you're already married. Of course, from people who are believers. And you just, you'll be shocked at how many things you can learn and how it can improve your relationship. It's not going to be easy because it's both for you and your spouses or spouse to be's first time living here on earth. So undoubtedly, you just may not know exactly how to do it. But as you're getting to the point where you're going to be married and you're going to be together, here are some things to ask so you could be able to do it better. What are you expecting? And, it's just in every facet. And what is your spouse expecting? Now, they have to answer that. And it's finances, provision, children, parenting styles, chores, household maintenance, intimacy, how often a week is going to happen. Do you initiate? Do I initiate? Everything. Because when you don't, well, actually, I'm going to touch on that after, but after you talk about all of that, like, figure out what's realistic, what's unrealistic, what can you do, or what can we do to meet in the middle. And what it's helped me do, right, before why should I do it, what it's helped for me is to realize, because I think I'm a rational person. I think most people think they're rational people. And if you have someone that you love, you're like, I'm rational, I love you. Clearly, if I have this expectation, it's for the betterment of our relationship. It's for the betterment of our marriage. It's for the betterment of this union. That's not always the case. In your heart of hearts, you might think, no, but this makes sense. This is how it has to be. Maybe not necessarily. Because what you're dealing with is another human with hopes, dreams, fears, goals, a livelihood, and you're joining that with them. So your idealistic thought of what it should be, it just may not be realistic. But don't lose hope, because talking about it and bringing it up and seeing where you don't line up, seeing where you don't agree, seeing where you're not seeing eye to eye, and being able to work through it is the entire magic of what it's about, making it work. Because it's not about conflict, it's conflict resolution. Conflict just means there are two or more people in a singular area. It could be you and your dog. You want the dog not to pee in the house, the dog pee in the house. You and your dog got conflict. But that don't mean you and your dog should leave each other and never see each other again. You just find a way to meet in the middle. What's important to your dog? Peeing. What's important to you? Him not doing it in the house. You meet in the middle. He gets to pee, but he does it outside. So now that it's not in the house and everyone's happy. You see how, I'm not going to say it's easy, because then you got to train the dog to do that, but it's doable. It is, meeting in the middle is doable. But first, you have to find out what the expectations are. Then you got to figure out what's realistic and what the compromise can be. And then you move based off of that, and then you meet at this middle ground that works for everyone. It doesn't work perfectly because now the dog still has to wait for you to open a door, and they got to go outside and sniff around. They can't do it from the comfort of the AC or whatever may have you, right? They got to go to you, make a sound, look at you a certain way. They got to, if they got to pee and you're not home, but you're going to be home soon, they got to wait. It's not perfect on the dog's end. And for you, it's not perfect because you're still peeing on my grass, right? If you're still doodling in my yard, and I gotta be careful where I'm stepping. I gotta be careful to pick it up and throw it in the trash so that I don't have to worry about it. But you're not doing it on the floor inside the house anymore, and that's okay. And for the dog, at least I'm getting to relieve myself, and that's okay. It's not perfect, but it works. And there is middle grounds. There is middle grounds. But like I said, you have to figure out what the expectations are, if they're realistic, how can you meet, because of course it's going to be different, but you got to get on the same page. And being in the same book or even in the same chapter really won't do. Like, I would love to pretend like as long as you're reading the same book, you'll make it to the same page. Maybe you're on the same chapter and you'll make it to the same page. But if I'm going to be honest with you, there's no guarantee that the person ever comes around. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that they ever see it your way. There's simply none. There's no guarantee that talking about it is going to solve it, if I'm going to be honest with you. So the thing about pre-engagement counseling, actually, and they've told us this like in class, we're not here to get you married. We're here to have you to see if you are, in a sense, this is not verbatim. The we're not here to get you married is verbatim, but the second half is like, we're here to see if you're the right fit for one another. Teach you, like, they're teaching you how to do the marriage and seeing if it can work between you, but they're not gonna force a square peg into a round hole. If you two are just not compatible, that's okay. If there's something that they refuse to come around on and it's huge for you, that's okay. It sucks that you might have to walk away, but isn't it great that you're getting to do it before you sign your life, in a sense, sign your life away to this person in servitude, which is a beautiful thing, by the way. I'm not trying to talk down on marriage. It's just, if you're gonna make this type of commitment to someone, you would want to make sure that that's a person that we are on the same page. We're playing the same game and we have the same objective. And if you do happen to do that, it's great. But if you settle for being in the same book, maybe even the same chapter, it will undoubtedly lead to unmet expectations. And the unmet expectations will end up having one or both of y'all feeling resentment. And the resentment in the long run is something that can absolutely kill a relationship, a marriage, any kind of bond. And that's just not something that you want over a long period of time. So if this is someone you're planning to do life with, please invest in finding out, are we on the same page and can we? Because that's kind of a huge portion of it. Just saying. Not to be doom and gloom or anything like that. More so to be thoughtful. And I hope this speaks to you. And even if you don't have a relationship right now, even if you don't have a fiance right now, someone you're married to right now, this is still stuff to really think about and consider. Because of course you can't first quarter try to, what are your expectations in a marriage? Dude, it's our first date, right? But it's always better to figure out, does this make sense earlier than later? Because the later you try to do it, the harder it is. And for a final act, we go into the ooh. Technically, we're already there. Yes, it's my second trip in less than a month, you might think this nigga's got FU money. And I really don't. I promise you I don't. I don't even know how I'm doing this right now. But I did want to celebrate two friends' birthdays, and it's two different friend groups. Um, and I'm just, I plan accordingly, so I'm able to do it. And it's not perfect, but it's working. So the O, if you don't know, bars, is Orlando. I'm not a rapper. Orlando is pretty fun. It's pretty great. Some parts of it are a little. It's something, but we're at the O right now, and I'm with my friends. We're enjoying it, and I just wanted to speak a little bit on. It's crazy because this was supposed to be about the O, but I'm really gonna talk about like the group of friends that I'm here with. They've been such a blessing to my life, and it's weird, right? Because the amount of love I have for them, the amount of love the appreciation is so great that sometimes I think to myself, how did I only, I mean, now it's like, okay, I've known them for 3 years, but the bond I have with some of those people, it's like, you would think I've known you for 10 years. And it's not that I know all of their deepest, darkest secrets or that they know mine. It's not that we've been through like a life or death situation together. It's just, it's so refreshing. It's so encouraging. It's so great to have like a group of friends who are believers, who are fun, who you can just do life with. Especially when you come from a place where you didn't have that. And this is not a shot at, some of my other friends. Because I did have friends before this group of friends, of course. And some of them were believers. Sorry I keep clearing my throat on the mic. It's so much to pause it and then do it and then start over. I know, I'm crying about having technology. But, I mean, it's half a second. Please. You can deal with half a second, But yeah, I have other friends and I love them dearly. And there's some of them that I've been friends with forever. But it's really like the believer portion. Because I was in a place, before I met this group of people, I was in a place where I was really like in the world. I was wilding out. I was just not living for Christ. And I had a group of friends that kind of were par for the course. Now, I love them as individuals, but as individuals, we were all like kind of wilding out and, doing stuff that's not really of God. That being said, it got to a point where I really wanted to reconnect with God, with Jesus Christ, and just grow my relationship with Him again. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was like to stop smoking. Not cigarettes. That's crazy. That's insane talk. But like the WEED. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. So if you can't spell, I don't know what to tell you. But if you can't spell, I don't know if this even regards you. If you can't put together the letters I just said and realize what word that is, I don't know if it even applies to you. You definitely should be learning how to spell it. Somehow, if that is your speed, but you can't spell it, you have your priorities backwards, upside down. I don't know. Anyway, I was really trying to stop, right? But I just couldn't or didn't want to, and I was honest with God, and I was like, God, I don't want to. I know that it doesn't make sense. And there's this thing where I'll be like, oh, maybe I could find a biblical argument that could, you know, disprove it. Because my mindset was this, right? You can drink, but it's a sin to get drunk. So what you're telling, and this would be my response. So then, if you're smoking and getting high, it's like there's a certain level of high that's too high, but there's a certain level that surely is okay because there's a certain level of drinking that's fine. So where is the line? And maybe this is a dumb argument to you. Maybe this is not a dumb argument to you, but that was it. That's what it was in my mind. And I'm like, if I ever find a counter argument that makes sense that refutes this, and I'm talking about like, oh, okay, this clearly puts that in its place, I'll stop. But I just never found one, and I could never make one. So it was one of those like, is this really wrong? I just don't know. But that's also the thing when you don't have the Holy Spirit. Like the conviction doesn't hit you like crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? The conviction doesn't hit you like smelling salts because you're spiritually dead. So you really don't. You're like a lifeless body. There's no stimulus that could really get you to react. So I was going along living my life in that manner, in that frame of mind. But it just got to a point where I'm trying to reconnect with God and I'm becoming more spiritually alive. And I just feel that I can't keep doing this. I can't keep serving two masters. But I was like, God, I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 with you. I don't want to stop. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to. But if I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know. Like, it's just not of my highest priorities, but I objectively know. Subjectively, I don't really feel like it. But objectively, I feel like I know that this is not what you want for me. But I still couldn't make that argument that would disprove the other argument I'm talking about. So I said, okay, you don't got to disprove, or I don't have to have an argument to disprove it. God, I know objectively I shouldn't. So take the taste for this away from me. And I prayed that prayer. Mind you, I was still doing me, going to church, serving in ministry. But when I got my off time, I'll roll up, smoke up, whatever. Because at the time in my life, it was kind of par for the course. And I remember the day it happened. I was I was at a party with some of those friends that I'm talking about. Not these friends here that I'm with on this trip, but some of my friends from before where we were just like living our life, however we want, not really in with any regard to God. And the thing is, I was having a good time. I was enjoying their presence, dancing, and then I started drinking. And it's within like the limit that it's not drunkenness, so it's not sin, and I felt fine. But then again, because it's par for the course, one of my friends rolled up, and I was like, "Yeah, of course. What kind of question is that?" So then I took two hits. That's it, just a little two piece. And for the rest of the party, I just sat there quiet. No dark thoughts, no fighting off the high, if you will. It's not anything super negative. Like I wasn't tweaking out. It's not like I had a trip where God showed me hell. It's nothing like that. It was so subtle because it was just, I just mellowed out. And I couldn't bring myself out of it. I couldn't be as social as I was in the first half of the party. I couldn't talk to those people I was talking to at first. Um, and then afterwards, they was just like, well, yo, what's wrong with them? There was somebody at the time that, like, at the party, I was like just being real friendly with, if you will. And then after that, I just went quiet. And I think it was just like, oh, I guess he think I'm weird. And it's like, it's not even that, bruh. I'm trying to talk and be social. I can't. I'm just in my head. And it's not something super negative. I just didn't have it in me. And after that, maybe it started in that moment. But when I sobered up, I realized I hate who I am when I'm high. And this was the first time ever. This was the first time ever that I felt that way. But this was the answer to my prayers. I actually, God, in that on that day, in that moment, took the taste away from me from this thing. So I was like, oh, okay. And from that point on, it was like a journey to like letting it go. Because it's one thing if you enjoy it, but it's a completely other thing if it's a habit or even an addiction. Because it's like, I'm not doing this because I enjoy it. I'm doing this because that's what I do. And it sounds dumb, but that's really how it be. Um, and it just took many things out of me to stop. Like, for example, I had this little kit that had like a grinder, it had a wrap, it had papers, and I was like, if I'm trying to stop, why is this on me? I'm like super organized, because you know, one of the things I hate the most, or one of the things I hated the most about like being around that group of people and that would partake in those activities, we talk about it through text. We drive in our own separate direction. Someone goes to get the green, someone goes to pick up someone, we all meet up at a location. We sit down, we roll up, or we sit down and we're about to get into it. And then it's like, hey, y'all got paper? Okay, whatever, fine. Like, in my head, I'm like, this is crazy, because like y'all knew, but I brought my box, so I have paper. Okay, it's rolled up. They probably have two of them rolled at once, bro. It's like, hey, y'all got a lighter? Did y'all just find out 20 seconds ago that we was about to do this? What is this tomfoolery? I don't have time for this, bro. Like, y'all frying me right now. Y'all throwing me. Y'all know this is why we're here. How are we unprepared? It got to the point one time we did everything. We did everything. Everything was rolled up. We was ready. We didn't have a lighter. We found a lighter in the car, and it was time to roll it up. And the guy was like, I ain't gonna lie, I lost the joints. And I don't know if you could even say joints on YouTube. Joints like elbow joints, of course, right? But for all that to say, I just hate people who are, or not people. I hate being unprepared as a group to something like, we know we doing this. Why are y'all acting brand new? So I had this kit, all that to say, I had this kit with me. I always brought. Now I thought to myself, this just makes it so convenient to do it, right? It makes it so convenient to smoke. And if I want to quit, surely I can't have this. So one day I just grabbed it out of my car. It was always under my driver's seat. I grabbed it from under my car. I went to the dumpster. I threw it in there. I was like, okay, another one bites the dust. That, whatever green was in there, all of the tools that were in there, that went in there. Okay. Fast forward, then I realized, okay, I need to, what's the word here? Okay, I need to stop going certain places because it would just incite me to smoke. I was like, all right. And I started supplementing that because, mind you, I'm trying to get closer to God here. I started supplementing that with Bible study. I'm like, maybe if I go to Bible study at night, that keeps me busy that night out of the week. And I found out about a second Bible study. I'm like, okay, I go to two Bible studies. So now I'm busy 2 nights out of the week. And then there's a night to play basketball, and there's this and there's, so like I'm slowly but surely I'm praying, but I'm doing actionable things. You get what I mean? Like, follow me. I'm doing actionable things to stop. But then it got to a point where I'm doing everything I can by my own will, by my own merit, right? And for all intents and purposes, I really don't smoke anymore by myself. And I was a very, like, I don't want to say isolated. At first it was social, but then it got to a point where like I could do it every day, 3 times a day, and it's all by myself, and I don't blink or bat an eye. Like, it's whatever. But at this time, it's like I'm trying to walk it back, and I am. But there's this final frontier where God is like, your friends are making you do this, or the fact that you're with your friends is making you do this. I need you to let go of always being around these friends. Mind you, me, there's this, I think it's a verse. It may be a saying, but I think it's a verse of a 3-weave cord is not easily broken. And so for me and this group of friends, and it's not like a whole group, like it's all of us. Some of them it was a group, some of them it was one-on-one. And that's the thing. Like, every friend I could think of at the time, we all smoked. Like, everyone. So it's like I couldn't hang out with one. I couldn't hang out with a group. I couldn't hang out with any of them without knowing, as a matter of fact, at some point, it's going to happen. And the thing about the 3-weave cord is not easily broken. The third weave of our cord was this. It was smoking. And as far as I was concerned, part of me stopping the activity was not hanging out with those friends, at least not for that period of time where I'm trying to quit, but I can't say no yet. Like if I see it, I need to have it. Or if I'm prompted enough, I will say yes. And it kind of felt so sad because I'm like, but I love these people. Outside of this, I love these people. And I would feel so bad just kind of like being like, nah, I can't hang out. Nah, I can't be there. I see the text in a group chat, everyone making plans, but I don't see anything because I just stay home, even though I could be out there. But it got to a point where it's like, what do you want? What do you want? And I realized, like, nigga, you gotta be willing to take a loss. You gotta be willing to take a loss. They all hanging out without me, that's okay. They all seem like they're having a blast, that's okay. My friend who really don't have a whole lot of friends wants to hang out with me, but I know he gonna want to smoke and I don't want to smoke, so I tell him, nah, bro, I'm not really available. That's okay. He's gonna be okay. And it was very hard, but I was like, I'm just going to stay to myself, because if I go with you, I know you're gonna do this, and I can't, in this state of mind, in this place, I can't say no. And so there was a season where I really was not hanging out with any of my friends. It's almost as if I had no friends, to be honest. I was just home 98%. Like if I wasn't at work, I was going home. And I was just trying to just, if I wasn't at work, I was going home, and then I was going to Bible study. And I was just like, but God knows. And I feel bad. And I don't feel bad for the sake of I'm by myself, because I like my own company. I don't mind. I feel bad because I feel like I was alienating my friends. I feel like they might feel a way that I'm not hanging out with them anymore. And I didn't want them to think that I think less of them, or that I don't like them, or, certain friends, they're not super social. You might be one of the three people they talk to every day. Now they got two. And it really like tore my heart. But I was like, if this is what it takes, fine. And low key, I thought to myself, if this is what it's gonna be, I'm cool. Not like I'm cool off of it, like I'm okay with it. But some way, somehow, in a blink of an eye, just trying to do right by God. You know that picture of a girl that has like a teddy bear behind her, and then Jesus is asking her for the teddy bear, but he's got like this way bigger teddy bear behind him, and he's like, just trust me. That is the embodiment of what it was like to, through my dedication to the Lord, through alienating in some sense, quote unquote, the my previous friend groups, which were cool now, right? I don't want to make it seem like I don't rock with these people, because I do. I still love them. I still show up for them, or at least I try to, as much as I can. It's just when they're doing those activities, I'm not around, because that's not me anymore. Um, but I gave that up, and Jesus blessed me with this brand new crop of friends, including actually my girlfriend. Um, and it was just so jarring, because in a sense, I wasn't even going to Bible study to find a girlfriend. I wasn't even going to make friends. I was just going because I'm trying to serve the Lord, and I'm trying to get away from this one thing that I really feel like He does not want me to do, and I don't know how to overcome it. And I'm like, if I do more of the Lord and less of the world, more of the Lord and less of the world. And it's one of those things where it's like, seek ye first the kingdom, and everything else will be given unto you. And it felt like everything else was given unto me. And now here we are. We in the we went out to the you know what I mean? Like we're out here, we're enjoying fellowship, we're playing games, hanging out, going out, celebrating somebody's birthday. I'm going to pre-engagement or pre-engagement counseling with my girlfriend, and all of these things have transpired in a span of 3 years, and God has done like so much, right? And I know originally this was about like going to Orlando and how that's supposed to be fun, because it's a fun portion of the show. I don't know. I just got on my little soapbox, so I, I hope the soapbox had the exact amount of suds that you needed. But I get it, because it's a soap. Never mind. Anyways, all that to say, I'm out here at the O, and it all kind of like went back to this decision of like, all right, God, what do you want me to do? Because I know I know I shouldn't, but I still want to. And then it became this thing where it's like, okay, just ask. And I asked, take the taste of it away from me. And I started doing all of these things, praying to God, doing my part, praying to God, doing my part. And now I have this brand new set of friends, and they're in a lot of ways all I could have asked for, especially in that moment of loneliness, because I don't have my original friends, whom are still great. They're still funny, they're still amazing, and I would still like to hang out with them. And I just know that I can't, because if they when it's not an if, but when they go spark up, it's gonna be that one thing where the past version of me, I can't say no. Now I could say no. Now I don't even have a I'm completely freed from smoking or the desire to, but I just can't relate in that way. So they don't even invite me to stuff like that anymore. They don't even invite me to certain things that they're doing anymore. And that's great. But, you know, if it was no one else, I don't even want to say to substitute that, but to be some kind of equivalent exchange, it would be maybe a little sad, but it still be for the glory of the Lord. But here comes the Lord in a moment where I was praying for friends that were or that are Christian and that are living in a righteous lifestyle, and that are trying to honor the Lord, just like I'm trying to honor the Lord, so that I could be even more steadfast in my walk. He was able to bless me with this group, and not just like the group for the sake of the group, but the individuals. And I just love these people. So um I know I just went on like a 87-minute rant about me and my friends, and how great they are, and the fact that they love the Lord and how great that is. But it's just really more than anything about you. I don't know what God is calling you to do. I have no idea who you are or what God is telling you to do at this particular moment. But can I share my testimony in saying that He's not trying to do anything that's not in your best interest? He's not trying to isolate you for the sake of rendering you friendless. He's not trying to make you set apart for the sake of suffering. And don't get me wrong, you can have no friends for a season. You can suffer for a season. You can have these things happen to you for a season. But my Lord he's in the business of redeeming. He's in the business of restoring. He's in the business of transforming. He's in the business of taking 2 loaves of bread and 5 fish. Or is it 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish? I don't remember. And feeding 5,000 people. That's the type of God I serve. And so if that God is asking something of you, He's asking you, change your life. Even if you don't know the first step to do it, be like, okay, God, help me change my life. Help me to understand what I need to do. God, remove the taste from my life right now, from my lips, so that I could want the other life. Because right now I don't. Because He already knows the contents of your heart. So just talk to Him. Be like, God, I don't know what to do. You tell me. God, I low-key still want this. You take it out of me. God, I, I, I really want to hold on to this thing because I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my friends. Like my friend group that would always smoke, and like I said, I'm still friends with them. And a lot of them, I still consider brothers. But certain things I just couldn't partake in. But I let go of that leash. I'm like, Lord, whatever this is about to be, I trust you. And He did not fail me. He gave me more exceedingly and abundantly than I could ever ask or think. I used to pray for a brother. I have a sister. I used to pray for a brother. And my parents never had another one. eventually I got a couple, and they were people that are more or less in the world. Um, cause it's literally two. So one is in the world, one is in Christ. But it's like 6, 7. I'm sorry. I can't believe I made another. I went go karting today with my friend group, and I actually ended up in the cart, and the number in the cart was 6, 7. It's I don't know. Also, I'm getting off track here, but it's crazy that God, he was looking, because there's no future, there's no past. It's just present with God at all times. Like he's just in the present at all times. So in front of him, he's seeing Adam and Eve walk for the first time together. And at the same time, he's seeing the height of the meme 6, 7. That seemed like two completely different worlds, but somehow it's all in the same history book of God. That's I don't know, that's insane to me. Anyways, yeah, I don't know what God's asking you, but he won't fail. He won't fail you, and he's not asking you for no reason. So trust him, do what you gotta do, and you'll see where that takes you. And once it takes you wherever it takes you, I doubt you'll have anything negative to say about it, as far as like whether you like what God did in the end. You know what I'm saying, bro? I don't know how to close this out. I've never finished a sermon. I've never started one. So, yeah. Amen. In any case, I'm done rambling your ear off. If you have more dishes to do or more work to do, go check out one of my previous episodes or any episode of my channel. Per usual, it's been your boy Young Banan with the AM Cast. Allegedly every or football, faith, and fun. Allegedly every Wednesday, but realistically, whenever I could get them off to you. And I appreciate you for listening to me ramble. I didn't say this in the beginning, but if you stuck out all the way to the end, please leave a like or a comment. Not or a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on the bell notification if it's your first time. A lot of demands, but I mean, come on. Can you help a brother out? 5 stars if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or whatever the podcasting platform. I don't know how they all work. This isn't even that'll get figured out on the back end. But I appreciate you for hearing me, and I'll holla at you next time.